Hey, it's Dr. Amanda with Straightsmile Solutions, straightsmilesolutions.com. Let's talk about phase one cases that you treat and then they go off the rails and they come back and you're like, whoa, what happened? Did I do a bad job? Or did the patient do something wrong? Let's talk about the different scenarios. Let's talk about first phase one treatment. Why do we do it? I know you guys probably get tired of me telling you why we do phase one, but let's talk about it. So, phase one is there so that you can tackle the hard problems while the child is still has a lot of growth in front of them. You generally get better outcomes if you do phase one over waiting for comprehensive. A lot of it really depends on where the patient is in their skeletal maturity. Be sure you watch all the YouTube videos I have on puberty. You can hit pause here, you can go into YouTube, you can put in the keyword puberty, and you can watch all those. Treatment timing, all of that. If you have a girl who's an early grower, well, yeah, heck yeah, you better do phase one because you're going to miss the boat in terms of timing, because some girls are going to go through comprehensive, major skeletal growth at 8, 9, and they only have a few permanent teeth in. So you better do the growth modification and the airway issues in phase one. If you have a girl, boy, you might have a little more wiggle room, but don't assume just because they're a boy. You need to keep an eye on their growth and their treatment timing and talk to their pediatrician. And remember also, phase one, you can do what you need to do and put the teeth where they need to go. But if there's underlying other issues like myo issues, habits, or airway issues, nasal breathing, mouth breathing, things that you may not see in an office and you may not know about, and a lot of that you're asking for the parents to report. Certainly you can do an airway analysis with the CBCT, have that read, and you can see if there's a chance of issues. And confirm that there's issues. And if there are, you want to make sure that they go to ENT and get what needs to be done. And a lot of times ENT is a watch and wait thing, and parents forget and they never go back. And if their patient is not in phase one treatment with you, it's not your job to remind them to go back to the ENT. So people drop the ball and they don't get the ENT treatment that they need at the right timing. That's what can happen. Like I said, myo can happen. A lot of people don't work with a myologist or a myofunctional therapist, either in person or virtual. Very easy to get a virtual one to add to your practice. I've got a few that we use. I'm happy. I've got them in my YouTube channel. You can just put on OMT and all the information will come up. They're definitely taking referrals. No, they're not cheap. But just as easier, you can train up any hygienist or any dentist in your practice to be an OMT with just a few day course. And now you're an OMT. It's not for everybody, but that way you can get your patient what they need and bundle it into their treatment and not make it optional, because when it's a separate price, a lot of times they don't want to do it. It's very rare that they do it. But things can happen when they don't fix the myo issues, the habits, the tongue position. Like I said, if the airway isn't what it needs to be and isn't patent, well, you can do really good phase one treatment and then it can go off the rails. Not because you didn't do good phase one treatment, because they didn't do what was recommended, the whole treatment plan. You predicted things might happen and things did happen. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. We don't know. That is why if they're declining things like ENT surgeries, myo, therapy in conjunction, you have to decide, do you really want to take this case or not? Knowing it's probably going to go off the rails. A lot of times parents are like, it's fine, it's all good, I understand. But then when things go off the rails, they get a little bit more litigious. So yeah, you better have a lot of informed consents and a lot of supplemental documents saying things. Patient may outgo treatment. Patient may still need jaw surgery. If we do not fix these things, I cannot predict what's going on. The only people who can give you suggestions as to what's going on is the ENT and the myologist. So neither of which are probably in your practice. So the reason why, by the way, there's a snakeskin here is people outgrew, like they're shedding their skin, they're shedding their treatment. That is my visual to help me find these videos when I'm searching through them. So yes, it can happen. Yes, even though you do phase one, someone might need jaw surgery later, especially if there's a class 3. Remember, there's also a genetic component to this, especially in class 3 or in open bite patients. Of course, the open bite is more related to airway and myology, but in class 3, that is like fully genetic, which is why we try to do those face masks when they're little and get at least 2 millimeters of positive overjet. But not all patients are going to be compliant with face masks. There's nothing you can do. They're not going to wear it. The parents aren't going to parent them. Which is why I recommend that you do these things as young as possible, because it's very rare that there's a 7-year-old that you can't parent properly with the proper incentives, and just as long as the home life is positive and happy. But you guys don't always know how the home life is. And if the parents aren't parenting well and they got other things going on, well, then that thing is not going to get worn. So you have to pick your families and your family communities, your family units wisely. It's not just the kid, it's not just the mom, it's how do they interact? How does the kid listen to the mom? When the kid says something, when the parent says something, does the kid listen and do what they're told, or do they roll their eyes or sass back? Because if they do, you do not want this patient. I'm telling you this. There's so much that goes on in that consult in terms of how the patient interacts with the parents. You really want the parent back there and the siblings and everything. If you get an uneasy feeling and it's a complicated case, don't take that case because you know it's going to go off the rails. Anyways, that's what I got to say. So, just be prepared. Sometimes these aren't going to end well. And you may not be able to take them for phase 2 and they may have to go to ortho. Of course, my biggest concern most of the time is the ortho's going to say, oh, all right, well, yeah, we could do surgery, or I can just pull out 4 teeth. Parents are like, ooh, that's an easy out. Let's do that. Well, now if there was already underlying myo or airway issues, we just made it 10 times worse. And right now, there's really no litigiousness for doing that, although I think in time there will be, which is why I certainly stopped doing it. I'm like, nah, sorry. I'm not doing that. So I'm not going to make you worse and know for the rest of my life I made someone worse. Maybe they functionally work better and their teeth fit together, but their airways work. Their face looks worse. Why? Why do you want to do that? All right. Thanks so much.